Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to those of you that are returning. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy to meet you. My name is Pamela of Unimend, and I am documenting and sharing my spiritual journey with you all. So, my spiritual journey has not been new to me. There have been I've always been spiritual, but never really practiced or explored it. It's just something in the environments that I grew up in. It wasn't something that would have been accepted. So for a long time, I've had these glimpses and these moments of like exploring a little bit of spirituality. However, 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, due to an injury, I had felt like I had no choice but to accept the spiritual awakening that was calling to me. And during that time, I've done a lot of work spiritually. I've done a lot of research regarding spirituality. And I'm in a place now in my practice where I am being called by Source to increase or upgrade my practices and learn some new practices and bring them into my spirituality. So right now, I am sharing with you and documenting my journey regarding learning tarot. Now, I've always kind of played with tarot, and I use that word played because it was sporadic. There wasn't a lot of knowledge behind it. Now I'm being called to learn about it, and so I'm sharing this journey with you all in hopes that you come along with me and learn tarot. So today is day 10 of I'm committing to doing tarot readings for myself every single day. And we are going to do my tarot pull for today. So come along. Let's check out what Source and the cards have to tell me. So, Source Spirit, we are going to do a 3-card pull today, representing past, present, and future. So, and I'm just going to leave the question simple of what do I need to know today, Source? So, I'm going to shuffle until Source spits out my cards. Again, Source, seeking a 3-card pull, past, present, and future. What is the message today? Okay, so when I picked up my deck this morning to start shuffling with it and just connecting with it, I like to shuffle with it for a minute or two and just feel like I'm connecting with my cards before I ask to draw any. The 7 of Swords flew out and landed on the floor. And I kind of chuckled and I said, okay, well, I haven't started yet, so that's not my card. And I picked it up and I thought, I'm just going to take a peek at this card before I put it back in and start shuffling again. And it was the 7 of Swords. And here, the 7 of Swords just flew out in my past. So well played, Source. I shouldn't be surprised. Okay, so the 7 of Swords, as you see in this picture, depicts somebody that is sneaking away with swords in hand. So this image is speaking to us about deception, avoidance, and secrecy. The keywords on the card are betrayal, deception, getting away with something, acting strategically, and trickery. So this sometimes reflects dishonesty from other people in your life, but it also often points inward to self-deception. So like moments where we downplay our gifts or hide our true selves or avoid responsibility out of fear. It can also represent strategy. So like needing to think outside the box, move quietly, or handle a situation with discretion. So with this card showing up in the past position of today's pull, it is suggesting a pattern of holding back and not stepping into my truth. It also probably reflects a time when I felt like I had to hide parts of myself to feel safe and avoid judgment. These are all true for me. I oftentimes do hold back. I have always tried to hide parts of myself, and I have always tried to not speak about my spirituality and my spiritual gifts. I've always had them, but when I was young and I used to express them freely, I was told one of my gifts that I have is sometimes I just know things. Like, and there's no reason that I should know, but I know this thing. And so I would say things, and people in my life, especially adults in my life, would probably get freaked out. And I was told that I shouldn't say things like that because it upsets people. Like, there's no way that I could know that. So maybe I'm lying, or maybe I'm making something up, or I somehow got insider information and I'm not being honest that I got insider information. So it was encouraged from a young age that, like, I shouldn't speak those things out loud. So I didn't. This is representing in my past, is showing that I'm done with that pattern. And I truly feel like I am, because over the last few years, I've really stepped into my spirituality, and I've really stepped in and become comfortable to say, like, this is who I am. And I'll say things sometimes to my husband, and I'll be like, this is one of those things that I know. And like, he doesn't even question anymore, because if I say it's one of those things that I know, then he expects that it's going to happen. So I have moved on from this need to be secret, from this self-denial of just exactly how powerful of a spiritual being I am, which we all have this power. I'm not saying that I'm like better or special, more special than anybody else, but I've stepped into it and I'm embracing it. So this is a part of my past. It is self-deception and not moving in and being afraid of judgment, and therefore not speaking up about my spiritual gifts. And this series is kind of proof of the fact that I'm moving past that. That part of my life is over, because I'm putting myself out there. And if people like it, they do. And if they don't, oh well. And if people think I'm crazy, they're not my people, right? Okay, so moving on. All right, moving on to the Ten of Swords. So the Ten of Swords is probably one of the most dramatic images in the tarot deck. So the figure is literally lying on the ground with 10 swords in their back. And the dawn is starting to rise in the horizon. It looks painful, but this card is not about punishment. It's about final endings, release, and surrender. So when we look at the keywords for the card, it's painful endings, deep wounds, betrayal, loss, crisis, failure, collapse, and defeat. It sounds awful, but I'm excited to see this card in the present position, right? This card, to me, and in the meanings of the research that I come up, is representing hitting the end of a cycle. The worst has already happened. And it's now about letting go of the old story and making space for what is to come. The rising sun in the background is a reminder that healing and rebirth always follows endings. So this card is reminding me that I am releasing old wounds and cycles that no longer serve me. This, my friends, is a card of closure, of letting go of the weight of the past, right? Everything we were talking about with the Seven of Wands here, letting go of all that and stepping into my new chapter. Just last night, I was with a very special friend of mine who's also very spiritual. And so she's somebody that I can have some pretty intimate and vulnerable conversations with. And I so appreciate that, because I don't have a lot of people like that in my life. And we were talking, and we're both very connected to the moon cycles. And so we just had this moon cycle of a new moon about 4 weeks ago. And then just last week, or a few days ago, we had the closing of that moon cycle with a full moon. And we were talking about how we were impacted very differently this time around. Generally, the new moon is like good energy for us and we feel inspired and all these things. But the new moon cycle this time around was extremely difficult. it brought up so many of my past wounds. It forced me to step out of and acknowledge one of the patterns that I need to let go of, which I've been talking about in the series, is that need to control or know what the plan is before making steps forward. Anyways, and so her and I were saying how, like, this past full moon, which normally is the moon that affects us the most, was comforting. And that we both feel like the cycles are done. Like, I've always been about growth and healing, and more recently, walking spirituality journey. And there's a lot of work involved, and there's a lot of healing involved, and there's darkness involved in it. But I always walk through and embrace it. But even when I do a piece of my healing work in the past, I never feel like that door is closed, right? So I have a lot of abandonment issues from my childhood. And I never really feel like, I feel like more healing happens, and like I close out a cycle, and I feel that healing has happened, and I'm better able to move forward in my life. But this time something feels different. Like, this time I feel like the stuff that I'm closing out, like especially this need to know and have control over, like, knowing what the plan is and control of planning the plan, like, is done. Like, I feel like it's done. And that's a new experience for me. So I feel like this Ten of Swords is actually just confirming that those cycles are done. Like, I'm finished with those cycles in my life, and they will not be a part of my future as long as I don't choose to step backwards and pick them back up. So again, this card can seem very, very ominous, I guess would be my word. But it is actually letting me know that this is a card of closure. And that's exactly where I feel like I am in my life right now. All right, the King of Wands makes me excited. So the King of Wands is said to be a visionary leader in the tarot. He carries the energy of self-confidence, charisma, passion, and vision. And unlike the Knight of Wands, who charges ahead without thinking things through, the King has mastered his fire. He channels it with direction and purpose. So this card represents stepping fully into leadership, inspiring others, and trusting your vision. It also calls on you to embody confidence, even when it feels uncomfortable, and to share your light boldly. All the things that I'm hoping to bring into my life. I do feel like I have leadership qualities. And I am beginning to tap into that confidence. And I've always had the passion. And I've always had a vision. So I feel like things are coming together, but in a way that I've mastered certain things in a way that I've never mastered before, because I've got the emotional intelligence and the intellect and the research skills to be able to put everything together and go after my vision with direction and purpose. So I feel like the King of Wands is showing up to tell me and to affirm for me that I am stepping into my role as a leader and a guide. And I think guide is probably the word I prefer most. I don't know why leader makes me feel uncomfortable, but it does. But I want to help guide people to tapping into, first of all, their own inner healing, because that's where all healing is done, is through ourselves. And we in ourselves have our own healing. And I've always worked that way in my social work practice, in working with people and helping to overcome their trauma. My role has always been to go along with you, to walk alongside you, to point out obstacles along the way, to provide information about, like, what berries in the forest might be hazardous to you and what are not. Like, I've always felt like a guide. I've always felt like I was along with you sharing some knowledge, as opposed to like leading you and directing you and telling you where to go. So I think that's where I feel that. Anyways, so after I have been releasing all this old pain and stepping out of hiding, I'm embodying confidence, wisdom, and the ability, hopefully, to inspire others on their own journeys. Because each one of us have a journey to go through, and it's unique to us. So I'm not here to tell you how to do your journey. I'm here to share my journey with you in hopes that you can learn a few things that will help you along the way of your own journey. And if you're looking for support, then I'm happy to help support you on your journey as well. But again, it's your journey. So let's sum up and see what the story tells together. All right, so the Seven of Swords is talking about how in the past I have hidden my true self, which is absolutely correct. I have doubted my gifts, which is 100% correct, and I've avoided stepping into the spotlight. So I've avoided stepping up into the light and saying, and like shining, because, I was told I was too much as a kid, or I make people uncomfortable, or people don't want to hear stuff like that. The Ten of Swords in the present is showing that this chapter has ended. The pain, the self-sabotage, and the weight of old cycles is being released. Like in this moment as we speak, I feel it. I feel like something happened a few days ago during that full moon cycle, that full blood moon total lunar eclipse we had. It's gone. It's gone. Like, I'm not afraid anymore. And I feel like those old cycles, those old patterns, those old habits have been released from me. And the King of Wands in the future is telling me that on the other side of the work I have done to release is empowerment. And then I'm stepping into leadership, vision, and the courage to inspire others to live their authentic life. And that's truly, honestly, my goal. My only goal that I've ever had since I can remember as a little kid is to help other people find healing. And more recently, as I've walked my spirituality journey, to come back to their authentic self. Because many of us are not connected to our authentic self, or we live in a way, and again, this is no judgment. A lot of this has to do with societal norms and patterns and generational cycles that have come down through our family lines, where we are not openly embracing our authentic selves. And it's crushing. It's crushing. I believe it causes illness in the body. I believe it is why we experience mental health. And I got to tell you, I struggled with my mental health from the time I was a child. And quite severely at times. Like in my early teens, and I think the last time was in my early 20s, like I've been hospitalized for my mental health. So when I look back now, a lot of that stuff was because I wasn't authentically living my true self. I was trying to follow societal norms. I was trying to do the things I was told that I was supposed to do, even though they felt awful to me. And the more and more that I explore my spirituality and open up to healing, I've learned that I need to go within and embrace all pieces of me. It's not about changing who I am. It's about embracing every part of me, even the darkness. It's about giving myself permission to say, you know what? Society tells me that I'm supposed to have a relationship with my toxic family, but it feels awful to me. So I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to see what the difference is and how that feels. And it's been freeing. Oh, I just want you all to have this. I just want you all to have this. Again, it doesn't mean my life is perfect. It doesn't mean that I don't go through challenges and struggles. It just means I go through it with more peace and more joy. And I'm lighter. And I feel better. Like I'm not depressed anymore. My anxiety is very minimal. The more and more I connect with my authentic self and give myself permission to live and honor that, the better my life is, regardless of what the circumstances are or the challenges that pop up. And that's all I want to do, is I want to share this with you all. I want to inspire you to do this and find this for yourself, because it's so freeing and I want you all to have it. Okay, so that is our tarot pull for today. So I'm going to put some engagement questions in the comment section of this video in hopes that you will share with me, how do you feel when any of these three cards pop up? And is there something in your life right now that you are working on to release an old pattern, an old story, so that you can step into the future you? All right. Thank you so much for watching. Have a very blessed day.